When you have politicians working for the community wins. We won. We asked for information. They blocked us. We appealed it to the higher authority, Office of Open Records. They have a quasi-judicial tribunal. They assign an appeals officer, a judge, to decide whether we should or shouldn't have the records. Those judges said we should. So now they're forced to provide them to us. Finally, right? Finally, lawful transparency. Here's an email from our business manager sending us the payroll data, which is wonderful. We'll dig in through it. But at the same time, this is about the students. So let's take a look first. When we look at our students, our job is to provide an educational opportunity, free and public education. So when we look at how they're doing, we measure it. The state measures it. We all look at what's going on here. So we have advanced and proficient. They're the good scores. Then we have students that are basic, which this work is approaching satisfactory performance, but has not yet achieved or reached that performance. So we need to improve those numbers, right? And then if you look at below basic, once again, it's below the standard. We need to focus our attention on what's broken so we can fix it. Now, this district is broken in many areas. I think they're broken because they don't follow the law. So we take them to court to see what the judge thinks. They're pleading immunity, they're pleading mootness, they say it doesn't matter. I think it matters, personally, but that's just me. So here's the scoring guidelines. That's the main goal. You got to care about the kids. If you don't care about the kids, you got to protect the kids and give them this educational opportunity. Let's talk about protection for a second. Bullying, we have a problem. Cyberbullying, we have a massive problem. Assaults, kids getting injured on school property, we have a problem. We have policies we should be applying to ensure that these kids are safe. And if the policy's not working, we have a responsibility as a community to change the policy, fix it. If the policy's working, but the people that are administering that policy are not administering properly, we need to fix that. Either way, lawful transparency, you look at what's broken and then you focus on fixing it. Okay, so if people think I'm negative, no, we're just working on things that are broken because let's protect the students and save the community. So let's take a look at this. I pulled up a handful of districts that have about the same size as we have. So here we are at Lehighton is 2,310 for the enrollment. I used the 1819 numbers because they're all on the PDE site and anybody can check my math. Okay, so Lehighton 2310, here's Blackhawk at 2322. We'll use that as a good example, right? Here's a couple guys a little smaller, they're very close to the same enrollment. By having the same enrollment, we can make an educated decision on how they're efficiently using their funds versus how we're using our funds. So let's take a look at what they did, because what matters most is these students' grades. So let's see how they did on these other districts and how we're doing. So when you look at that basic and below basic, that's the problem area that you want to focus on. So the average of all these different grades and scores, and we just used an algorithm to try to compare them. Blackhawk has 14% in those categories. We have 30%, twice as many in those categories on average. So we definitely can learn from them. Let's see how we can do on their budget. Maybe we're spending money in the wrong areas to get the same results or better results. So let's take a look. Blackhawks right here, their budget for the same rough number of students is about $38 million. Our budget for the same fiscal year was $43 million, 15% higher. Now that included, however, us with some construction and facilities of $1.3 million. Notice that's not normally an expense for these other districts. However, we're a little extraneous in that regard. Side note, legally, for us to spend money on the budget, you have to put it on the budget first, then you can spend it. We're in court right now because our district is having trouble complying with that law. Now they think it's moot. They think it doesn't matter. We think it does. So we put it in front of the judge. We'll see what he thinks. Anyway, so when you look at it, one of the areas we can look at the percentage of us versus the whole group. We're 17% higher. If you take us out of the picture and just use them as a group, same number of students, same average, and then us applied to that average, that would be this row of numbers to show where we are if you take our numbers out of creating the average for these same enrollment style schools. So we're about 21% high on instruction, 3% high on support services, 12% high on operational non-instructional services, 15% high, 34% high. This is an outlier because we did massive amounts of facility spending for whatever reason. Should have been on a budget. They should have known what they were doing. They should have compared it against other guys. Do we need to do this? Do we not need to do this? Why do we need to do this, right? So that's a little bit of an outlier. But then you're also 34% higher. 34%. Right? And then you got overall, now if you back out our facility spendings, we're 13% high. So we need to be more efficient. 13% would be a good target. 15% more efficient. That's what we're aiming for. That's the budget process. Ground up. Phone calls to Blackhawk, phone calls to the other districts that have better test scores, which are almost all of them, Central Valley, Tuscarora. Phone calls, how you doing? Where's your budget? Where's our budget? This is how it works. You investigate matters, you bring it before the community, and then the elected officials administer the community's will by hiring an administration to take care of where we're headed so we get the right path. Solutions. So number one, you got to define what a success is. I think we should do better than our neighboring schools. It's competition. Prove we can do better. Make sure our students learn better. Make sure we give them better opportunities. Next, we want to do it efficiently. We shouldn't spend more money to do the same task. And thirdly, we should protect our students. That should be first because it costs nothing more to protect our students. It just takes a little bit of oversight. No more rubber stamping. No more blind trust. An oversight board is responsible to ensure the safety of all students. Thank you. Have a great night.